I'm excited. I'm excited about today.
Yo, I didn't know
excited
what was
about
going
today.
on.
Listen.
He caught me so off guard. I didn't know
You should have saw her face. She was
like, we start.
we starting out special today. This is a special day.
Yeah.
This is a special day for a number of reasons.
Yes, it is.
First of all, welcome back to another episode of We Are the Ones podcast. This is the podcast where we have extraordinary conversations with extraordinary people doing extraordinary things. Today is special. Today, real special.
In many ways.
In many, many ways. Y'all can see what's going on in the background. We got an amazing guest, but should I say this? I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not.
Yikes. In advance.
I got my wives on the podcast.
Good night.
I got my wives on the podcast.
He gotta be stopped.
Immediately delete for that becomes somebody's clip.
I got my wives on the podcast with me. Shout out to my one and only.
That part.
The main one.
She got a one.
Oh, the main one.
She
Here
be
we
having
go.
one.
But I got my other ones with me.
Like we ain't got enough stories to make people ask questions.
See?
A lot of people gonna be asking questions like, I knew something was up with
They
that
always,
Jamil.
they be a little too close.
Yeah, they too
You know what
close.
I mean? Seriously. Something ain't right with that little situation
Lord have
over
mercy.
there.
We'll talk about that in
Not
a
even-
little bit.
He started out like that.
We're gonna talk about that.
This is
It's already going downhill.
get me out of here.
Listen, I've been waiting on this podcast for a minute, but the fact that we have our special guest on today, today of all days, is just amazing. Today, as y'all can see in the background, it's Avi's birthday. It's your birthday. Happy birthday, Avi.
Go out.
We gonna party like it's your birthday.
Hey. This how it is all the time with them, y'all. All the time with them. Happy birthday, Avi. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling good.
Yeah, you
I'm
look
feeling
good.
good.
So you got
Thank
your poetic justice braids.
You know, cause my bestie.
Come on.
Bestie,
Look
though.
good.
Yeah, we
They
was up
look
until
good.
like 3:30 in the morning.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
With this.
Lord have mercy.
I tell you, the love she does for her best friend.
Yeah.
Love is in action. That one right
There it
there.
is.
Yeah.
That one.
That's exactly what that is.
Yeah,
That's
she hooked me up
amazing.
today.
Yeah, I mean, the hair looks amazing. The outfit, per usual. Is this another Miss Eye Candy?
You already know, though.
Come
you
on.
already know. Miss Eye Candy hooked me up. I went in the shop and I said, Miss Eye Candy. I don't know why I don't call her by her name.
I don't know why. You call her Miss
I'm
Eye
like,
Candy.
I'm
I
like,
don't think
Miss Eye
anybody else calls her Miss Eye Candy. But
Every time she says it, I'm like, Shabba.
But,
Yeah,
see,
right.
but this is
Oh.
the thing, though. That's free advertising if I call
That's
her
a
that,
fact.
right? If I say Miss Eye Candy.
Okay.
Yes, I told her, I was like, it's my birthday coming up. She was like, oh. So you know how she do.
So she came
So
with
you know
the,
how she
Through.
do.
Pull it out.
with
Yes.
the pumpkin and black.
Yes, nice fall color, even though it's winter, but nice fall color.
Technically
Yeah.
still fall. But no, but it
Yes.
looks amazing.
Thank you so much,
usual.
Miss Eye Candy. Miss Eye Candy Allen on Instagram.
Y'all make sure y'all follow Miss Eye
Yes.
Candy on Instagram and go support her shop too. She's at 85 Allen Street, downtown Buffalo. Make sure y'all go and support her. So.
Absolutely.
Listen, again, we have a very special guest on the podcast today. Y'all been knowing each other a lot longer than we have, even though we're all pretty close, right? You know, y'all have known each other a lot longer than we
30
have. So
years.
I will give you the honors of introducing our guest for today.
Oh no! Let me. Oh no! I don't know if I can. Okay, JoAnna Rozier-Johnson. She has been my best friend for over 30 years, or 30
Ish.
years ish. I'm gonna try not to go personal. Let's go with who JoAnna is. Okay, so JoAnna currently right now is the vice president.
Come on, VP. Come
on.
on, Big VP.
Come
Big
on.
VP energy.
Come
Let's
on.
go.
Big VP.
Big VP energy.
The vice president of the Youth Services Department at the Community Action Organization of
Come
Western
on.
New York.
Let's go, VP.
She is also every title of the Crusaders.
No, that's legit.
Like I don't even like seriously. She's every title of the Crusaders, and then also she is just a person that when you talk about community, when you talk about things getting done, JoAnna's name come up all the time. She's also a member of Delta Sigma Theta, which she has been on.
My special.
I know. Which again, she's been on every
committee, everything.
I'm gonna be there.
Yeah. She's been on everything with that. Yeah. And then it's also something else about JoAnna that's very special. Just like Kelly is the person where you talk about, you know, if you say I want to die empty, you think of Kelly. Mm-hmm. When you think of love as an action, this is JoAnna. This is definitely JoAnna. JoAnna is someone who she is. If you talk about ride or die, thick and thin, ups or downs, mountains or valleys, like this is JoAnna for every single person that she loves to the heart.
Goon Squad.
So, but we're going to get into it because JoAnna is a lot more, but though that's what she is. And then she's also JoAnna, a national trainer.
You in all my business.
Put all the business out there.
I'm just a humble servant.
Here we go.
National trainer.
Yes, I have. Yes, I am.
Yes.
State, regional, and national.
She does everything.
Come on.
And she's my son's godmother. Gotta put that out there. Come on.
I love baby daddy.
Yeah, come on. See, I told y'all that's my wife, y'all.
Shout out to school.
Come on. But no.
The fact that she call you baby daddy in public and then you call us wives. Like, we really don't make this look
look saying. Like, why would he do that?
I mean, you call me baby daddy, so I'm gonna call you my wife.
I did that a whole happy hour. People was like, they couldn't wait to see, like, Joe? Oh, that's Jamil.
Is that...
We just got a special bond, y'all. Like, we got a special bond like no other, you know. It's a really, really tight bond. And I love her to death. I love all of my girls to death. Of course, I love my wife too. You know, so
we love Sam.
Everyone loves. Of course, everybody loves Sam.
Yeah.
JoAnna, thank you so much for coming on
here.
To the podcast.
I was only able to get her here because it's my birthday.
That's it.
So when it comes to birthdays, JoAnna has to do whatever that person for their birthday wants to do. And it's the only day that I knew I was going to be able to get her.
Correction. JoAnna chooses to do. Right? Birthdays are sacred. It's the day the world completely shifted with your presence.
Let's just keep that same energy next month. Okay.
Yes.
January 31st. Just put it out there. Keeping that same energy.
There's a lot of other people in January, so I got to ration it out a little bit.
Nah, but we're so excited to have you on to the podcast today.
Thanks,
JoAnna. Listen, we usually like to kind of dive into people's backstory. I mean, obviously, you have a lot going on in the community. So many things that she mentioned, so many things that she didn't mention. But you have a very unique backstory. I've had the privilege of knowing you for a long time. You know, it's funny because like I unofficially met JoAnna. This was a long time ago. This was
Trying to do all this math.
Yeah. Let's just say it was a long time ago. Yeah, I think it was
20.
Yeah, I think it was like late 90s, somewhere around that time. Her amazing, beautiful mother used to be one of our advisors and counselors for the Upward Bound program. And I remember she brought JoAnna to one of her sessions. And I'm just like, who is this little tall, skinny girl that she has with her? You know, so.
Olive oil.
But, you know, I mean, your mother, and God rest her soul, you know, just miss her so much. She did such an amazing job, you know, raising you and your sisters.
Yes, she did.
Instill so much pride in y'all, black pride, just all of that stuff. And I remember, it's a funny story, and I think I told you the story before, this interaction that I had with your mom.
When she gathered you.
Yeah. She checked me big time. So I knew she was like super, like just pro-black, just super radical. Not radical, but, you know, but she was just like very pro-black, right? So when I was in the Upward Bound program, my father had went to New York City at the time, came back and bought some, you know, he said a nice little gift for us, right? It was like these overalls, like it was like a jumper set, but it was shorts, right? And it was like a Malcolm X jumper set.
I remember
and it had like an X.
Do you?
Yeah, it had an X on it, and then it had a big Africa on the other leg. You know what I mean? It looked like cross colors, right? So I was like, you know what? I'm about to impress Mrs. Listen, I'm about to go to this session, and I'm really about to impress her. And so I got there, and she looked at me. She just looked at me up and down. She was like, what are you trying to make a statement? And I just felt like, I just felt so low at that point. You know what I mean? I was just like, I guess I'm not. You know, so she's like, because I had you had the
one strap.
The one strap.
Yep.
She was like, pull that strap up, young man. I was just like,
got your clothes falling off.
Yes, there. But she did such an amazing job, like with you guys, like just really instilling, everything it is about like just being Black and just being proud to be Black, right? So kind of talk to us about that, like, what lessons did you take from your mother growing up to kind of get you to where you are in life right now?
That's not a podcast. Well, I will say, so I start every presentation, no matter where I am. I'm born, raised, educated, and gainfully employed in the city of Buffalo. I am, in the words of the Itina Fareed Cook, the anomaly. I'm a little girl from the East Side. Absolutely. And I wear that badge proudly. Started on Bailey, off of Bailey, in the heart of Buffalo, in the hood, and being in a house with my two sisters and my mother, and frequenting to my grandmother's house, and my father was in our house on Doris. Life was different. And so in the midst of the 80s, where people ain't have a lot of money, but you was gonna make it work, right? That's when the bologna still had the red stripe around the outside.
Listen, I remember that.
Right, when you want to make sure you get your sandwich right, where it's got a bubble up in the middle, that was the good diet. It was healthy, right? Leave that thick cheese to the side, like that was
Wonder white bread on it.
Right?
Yeah.
You see?
I remember that.
So that's where I started, right? Very humble beginnings, where my mom was very intentional about how she raised us. What she would say yes to versus what she would say no to. We weren't really, now I will say this queen was very clear in teaching us from early ages, no is a complete sentence. So I chuckle now when people are like just now learning that. Cause I'm like, I started life like that. Like, why? Like, you can ask a question, but that pleading to get it to the answer to be changed, no, right? Then you can talk about why I said no, but you might be mad that you even asked. So starting there, learning a lot of lessons just about being confident in who God made me to be.
Yeah.
And in our household, we say God, or we refer to God, that omnipresent spirit, as mother, father, God, right? And in my life, I grew up where I had a mother and a father, and I had a grandmother as a matriarch in our life, who was a very dynamic Sagittarius. So ironic that I spent the rest of my life with another Sag. Where our focus was always that whatever God made me to be like, it's because this world needed it. And so her teaching that to each of her 3 girls to make sure that we understood, I don't have to try to be like anybody else. I have everything that God wants me to be for this world. I just got to tap into it. I have to make my yes be yes. I didn't even know that was in the Bible at first when I was little. If you say yes, let it be yes. And if it's a no, it's a no. Maybe it's weird. What's that mean? Is it a yes or a no, right? Because which way are we gonna go? And so to start my life like that, it made things different. She was the queen of conflict resolution. It's just I could talk about my mom forever before what I'm talking about. There's so much that I know I'm blessed because I had her. Yeah. But not only did I have her, I got the opportunity to see her impact our community.
Yeah, in a big way.
And huge, right? Yeah. And so when I say I'm a humble servant, I mean that. I watched that I earned my stripes like her, right? The being at a church in a basement with a bunch of Black kids who just want to learn about themselves. That moment matters. Yeah. Whether you get paid for it or you don't get paid for it, you pay for it in the end, because those are people who are going to be in the classroom teaching your babies in the future. And so just being able to be a young Black girl who became a teenager, focused on, again, positive peer pressure. I positively pressured my friends to do good things, right? And I shut stuff down. Like, I'm gonna just leave that at that. So, it's like, and my mom, and I will give credit to my mother and my father for that, and my grandmother. It's something. Leave the sleeping bear alone. When you know the power you have inside of you, you gotta tread lightly around this world. Don't be stomping around. An elephant is my favorite animal, and people think it's because I was a Delta. No, that just made it assured for me. Like, I had
that
to
was
be.
a confirmation, right?
What I look like collecting these things, because I actually did a project on the elephants when I was 9, and it was I'm like, I like that. That's how I feel like I am on the inside, right? I was always the tallest girl in the room. I'm thick now, but back then I wasn't. But I had a big personality. Elephants they can be the loudest thing walking around, but also the quietest. Right? I walk around with a quiet strength, but when you look at me, and people say, let's address the elephant in the room, or let's not. Right? Like, it could go either way, right? But my presence will never be ignored if I'm in the room. And so I carry myself that way, right? So if you start out like a little girl being raised like that and groomed, I grew up at Pleasant Grove Missionary Baptist Church. I could talk about that and the women that helped, just give me a different perspective on life. I really believe that we do our children a disservice when we shelter them. When we don't let them have the experience to be loved by others in our community. And so my mother showed me what loving, I have an acronym for love, which is living on various elevations. And then my hashtag, love is an action. And so those two together is the epitome of what I watched growing up and what I said when it was my turn to be a community member, what I wanted to give to this world. And I'm actively giving.
No, you are.
Actively.
You are absolutely actively giving.
So I have a question, JoAnna. Knowing who your mom is, let's get into your dad a little bit, because you are.
Come on, am I allowed to?
Because you are perfectly.
Ooh, it's both
perfectly.
Of them.
So we know, who your mom is and what she embodies. Why don't we talk about your dad and what you embody about your dad? Because
boy, it's something when people know you, they ask, wow, Avi.
Because you know why so after getting to know JoAnna's dad, right, I was like, wait, your mommy, how did that, you know what I mean? Like, what was the click there? She was like, no, because my mom.
It's the mother side you don't be knowing about. That's a fact. Opposites attract, or they don't. And they're very much so alike. Right. My father so the irony of, I do the dramatic differences between the two. To be raised in a household with a woman who was finding herself and was very studious, and my mother was a forever learner. She didn't get her PhD. No, excuse me, she doesn't have a PhD. She had a EDD.
Okay.
Went back to school for, like education and how to teach children and community members in a different capacity. My father was like, once he finished school, like, that's it. What are we doing this for? Like, get a job. Right. But he was big about that. Like, everybody should be working, pull your weight in a house. I grew up, I laughed when I became a wife at some point, because I'm like, bro, I grew up in a house full of women. It was 5 women in a house. And like I said, I started life with my father, who was helping him do stuff. Like, I ain't had that story that other people be like, oh, my daddy did everything. And my friend had JoAnna taking the trash out. You know what I mean? Like, Fred was like, who's cleaning up and who's, these plates. You know what I mean? But what he also showed us in the house was he was not too good to do every other job that we were doing, right? The toilets being clean was everybody's job. Did your butt sit on that thing? Get in that bathroom and clean that toilet. You know what I mean? Being outside shoveling. He came home, something wrong with your feet?
It's so
This man, like, to love somebody so much and they work your nerves so bad, but I love that thin line, love it, hate. My father is a character. Like, he is funny. I grew up in a household full of jokes. Like, as serious as we are, like, we real serious and about this business, but boy, we play so bad, and we have a trying to listen, eavesdropping on my conversation.
Eavesdropping on the conversation.
I don't understand. You won't. You won't. Like, our house played nonstop. Like, sad moments, I process weirdly. I say weird because I recognize other people do not get it. Until I'm with my people, like, I could literally call my sister and be like, okay, so this is what I said. The room was like, and she will be like falling out laughing, like, and then add a joke, right? Like, weird example. We had a loved one of ours, so I'll keep it personal. I won't talk about jokes we had on other families. Our old family, we lost somebody. Went for a walk, had a heart attack in a park. Was found. So sad, right? And my blood. But it was the same weekend that the Buffalo Zoo said that an alligator got loose.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
We, first immediate thing when that joint came with the news, we sitting there like, man, he probably bumped into the gator.
Oh my God.
Story continues. Whole house, we in tears, and we will go until everybody is in tears.
Oh my God.
That sigh, hurt, holler, like, we supposed to be sad. Oh, we processed
died, you know.
I mean,
maybe the alligator ate him.
Funny is funny. Like Cat Williams said, I'm gonna get my 7 chuckles. Like some situations deserve them, and I'm gonna capture all of them. So like, that's me in a nutshell. I would say like, and drill is life. Like that's the one piece that's not there.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a second, because you kind of grew up through the Crusaders,
that's
right?
A fact.
And for the people that's outside of Buffalo, drill is a part of the culture here in Buffalo, right? Mm-hmm. It's step-ish, like, you know, for people that's not familiar with it, but you know, it's very. I remember going back to like the drill-a-ramas and such back in the day, you know.
And we'll be back this spring, so.
Okay. JoAnna coming back. That's amazing. But just going to the drill-a-ramas back in the day, and I'm telling you, like the Crusaders used to just run things. You know what I mean? And you know, so you came up as a Crusader. You know, you obviously are giving your time back to them now as like how would you like to?
So right now I am
senior
co-director of the Crusaders Marching Unit.
Okay.
A title which I share with my brother, DeJuan Burrell, and it was passed down. The torch was passed to us by our co-founder, Marcus Brown.
Shout out to Mr.
Shout
Brown.
out to Mr. Brown, the communities, Mr. Brown.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man.
So why give back, you know, in that way? Because again, what did you get from them that made you want to feel like that you wanted to, you had to give back?
So I'll say this without going into elaboration. Every single group that did anything that contributed to the woman I am today, I am loyal to.
Okay.
Loyal with my time, loyal with my resources. So the Crusaders just happens to be the one that the community sees more often. Mm-hmm. But if Pleasant Grove texts me and asks me to come do a random class on a random day that I'm busy,
she going.
I'm going, right? Like that's times every group.
Mm-hmm.
So that's who I am. The Crusaders sits in a special place in my heart, though. It's family. Like, I love my kids. Like, I've been there so long, I've gone from the nobody to sis, to little sis, to sis, because I got peers, to big sis, to Auntie JoJo. Like, now Auntie JoJo is like, I live for that. Like, at this point, Auntie JoJo is what I hear more often in the community than Joe or JoAnna.
Yeah, got a lot of kids running around here.
That's where we're at. It's kids that I don't even really know their names, but because they're friend, I'm Auntie JoJo to their friend, and
Auntie JoJo.
I'm Auntie JoJo to you. That's my name. Like, I had to change my Snapchat to Auntie JoJo's Weekend. Like, that's how it is. But it's to be able to pour into the group of girls and boys that choose to be present with us. I consider myself to be a lighthouse for my community, right? I help students, and whether they're my students directly or those who I just interface with randomly, I make a point to be a stable fixture in their lives in the city of Buffalo. You know where to find me. I have a regular schedule. There won't be a Saturday that I am not present and available.
That's a fact.
I don't care what event is happening. I will make it happen around drill team practice. But, you know, back to the focus on being a lighthouse, I'm stable so that you can always find your way back to whatever home is. I'm also the person who shines a light to help them see in the darkness where they're trying to go. And I take that very seriously. As a mentor, and so just so the world knows, I don't tell people to call me Auntie JoJo. Like, I never introduce myself and say I'm Auntie. That's weird to me. I miss JoAnna. Like, and keep it there. Because Joe gives you a whole different vibe.
That's facts for people that don't. And
so if you ain't ready for Joe vibes, and it ain't easy, right? So the people, I'm gonna shout out to the people who love me for being me. Like, the people I hang with are a different caliber of people. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know if I pick them well or y'all just nuts, because probably both. A little bit of both. Probably both. A little bit of both. Right? Because the honest vibes that I give off and to hold people accountable the way I expect them to hold me accountable, like, yeah, you, it's a real thing. We a vibe.
So the thing is that growing up with your mom, you and your younger sister were always with her. So you saw everything that she did, and she was
Jackie was there too. She just was so quiet, and Jackie had to go until she got a car.
Oh, then she was out.
Then she was out.
Like, I'm outside. Sometimes she looks at it. Shout out to
see y'all later.
Right. Shout out to Big Sis, because Jackie, when she got a car, she was a real one, and she, if it meant that my mother could take your sisters, or you could stay here, get in the car.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we was.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we was out here.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, I know for sure, because growing up, people thought that her and Cassie were twins for a long time.
18 months between us, and I've always been taller than her.
But I mean, that's just how much they looked alike. You know what I mean? But seeing everything that your mom did, do you think that you grew a love for people because of what she did, or do you think that this is like a separate thing that you grew?
It's a separate thing. It's completely separate, because there were times where it was annoying to share. Like, why we gotta go there? Like, when can we go home? And it's like, you picked us up from this program, we gotta go to the next thing. We sat in our own classes, and then we gotta go to teach these kids for the Umoja group, and then we gotta go to the Kwanzaa committee meeting. Like,
she was in.
And we gotta make sure we go. Like, the irony, I told Avi as we pulled up, being in this building is so nostalgic for me. Like, I spent our childhood on our free days, whatever that was, a free moment. This was our library, right? Until they built that library. Our names was written down on the petition to make sure we had our library. You can't tear this down. Yeah. You can build bigger.
Yeah.
And you still can't tear this down. Hence us sitting in it today, right? So being a part of that and being exposed to community leaders, shout out to Sharon Holly, Sharon and Mr. Holly, the owners of Zawadi Bookstore.
Okay. Right across the street.
I could go, it's so many of them. Now I think the sad part is recognizing that I am the age that many of them were. And so when it's my turn, right? And so I have to think about the way they paved the way when things weren't available in our area and they made it happen. The being available to have conversations and not missing a moment. Being on the Kwanzaa committee and present at every Kwanzaa, from the first one where we brought, I'm saying we because I was at all the meetings. Yep. But I was a kid, so when they brought Dr. Malala Karenga to Buffalo, like that was a huge deal. Like he was a superstar. I couldn't tell you nobody that was down at HSBC Arena or the Odd.
Right.
But Dr. Malana Karenga was finna teach us about the Nguza Sawa at our library, which was here first, and then at Harambe bookstores. It was Harambe first, and then became Zawadi.
So you know so much about our Black history, and I love it. Like JoAnna is just a wealth of knowledge.
Oh, yes,
coming from where she come from. What's some misconceptions that you feel our people have about our history? Like, what are some that really bother you that we just don't know about our history?
It's so many pieces. The first thing I would say is that it's not hard. That it's hard to learn because no one's teaching it. I hate that because there are people teaching.
Absolutely people
teaching. It's the same thing has been happening every time. Is that we have to want it for ourselves. Right. That's in everything. That's in your spirituality. There are people teaching it. Are you going to the place to learn it? And then when you get to that place, are you reading the books that it takes to do that? And are you watching the videos? Like, there are videos that you could play. There are podcasts that you could literally click the link on and just drive and listen. And so the access to our history is present.
I don't think there's any shortage of information that's out there, right? Because we often hear that a lot.
Yeah.
When it comes to like, things that we need to be doing in the community, access to resources and things like I think there's a plethora of resources that's out there, a plethora of information that's out there available. I just don't think people are doing a good enough job of taking advantage of it.
And that's it, right? But it's not. But if you talk to those people, the first thing they'll say is it's not available.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just go get it. I have people who to this day are still saying, we don't have enough activities in the community for the kids.
That's crazy.
I go to every
that like grinds my gears like when I hear
nuts.
that. It really grinds my gears.
I'm like, I can't leave this alone.
Then it's like people feel like that they got to create a new program. Or, I'm like, there's no shortage of programs, y'all. I promise y'all. There's no shortage of programs that's out there.
We ain't got no funding for it. We do have funding, and we're going to lose it because you don't send your kid.
Yes. So let's kill that misconception right there.
Oh my gosh, it dried out. The little nuances, and then they have to be to be able to be comfortable enough to address the people you love. Like, I love my community. As a woman who loves others, you love with good correction. You don't love somebody if you can't tell them they got a booger in their face and we all laughing at it. Right? You gonna just join in. A lady got a wedgie. I'm like, man, come on, get that letter out your mailbox.
Pull that thing out your
Go ahead, you got it. Come on, I'll block you. I'll block, right? And it made, and people like, Joe, I would never, you just say anything to anybody. I'm like, but what's the alternative to me saying that to her?
Yeah. She's gonna keep the wedgie.
She's gonna keep the wedgie. She knows she has it, but now she's gonna walk her. She's self-conscious as she walks through the room instead of walking and commanding it in the presence that she came in here with. And then everybody who sees it is gonna talk about it.
Yeah,
that's poor energy in the room where I'm at. Now let me invest this random 15 seconds to have a moment with her, and even in the midst of being uncomfortable, watch her get comfortable. Now the next time you see me, you know I'm love, right? Yeah. But for most people, they say they will feel like that was a very unloving thing to do, right? So when it comes to learning about who we are, and I really feel that way for everybody, but I'm hella black, like.
Yes, you are. Blackity black.
And I'm proud of that, and all that gives, that brings, that alludes to, and all the things that it's still mysterious about, right? There's so much we don't know. As a black woman who has moments where if I describe myself, I align with what Christianity is. And so I have no problem to say I carry myself to be Christ-like. But for those who have this misconception that to be pro-African and as a member of the diaspora that I would be anti that because you got to do your research, right? And so again, like I said, I preface it with saying I have no qualms with saying I am Christ-like, and for people to look at me, and if you have to put a label on it to say she's a Christian, because for the most part, if I was to talk to you about things, it would align with being a Christian. But I don't identify as a Christian because of the things that I know comes along with Christianity. Right. And that's me as a black woman. So people say, oh, how can you align with that? That predates it. And if it predates it, all the years, I'm not going to turn this into a history lesson. But to know your history, the more you learn, and if you actually, I chose to be what I am. Right, to do my research, I couldn't say, oh, I would never be a Muslim. You know, it's a lot of people saying that, and you've never even looked at the Quran. You learned that one lesson that you had to use for the DBQ question in your sophomore year of high school, but outside of that, you didn't ask a Muslim about their faith, right? And I equate that to, you can't ask everybody about their stuff, because there's some Christians you ask, they got every church service and can't tell you where to find it in the Bible. Right? And so for all of the religions, I ain't gonna list them all, but I made up myself a student, right? And my mother opened the door for that. If I have a question, she always said, before you identify something, do your research on it. Even from her, she had to show me where something was. Because if you can show me where it is, I can read it for myself and let it be true for me. The Bible says the same thing. Right? I'm not supposed to let other people teach me. I'm supposed to study the Bible to show myself approved. The Quran teaches the same way, to the point where they want you to learn the language so that you don't miss it in translation. Right? That's something I honor about their faith that ours doesn't have. Right? To know that the languages matter. Right? When you say love, love, like, is so little in English.
Yes, it is.
And then as you study linguistics, you find out, like, wait, there's levels to love and different words in other languages that mean different things. Like, so I go back to the misconception that people there's not information, here it is, right? I don't have my mother didn't pour everything that's JoAnna into JoAnna, right? I had to go and find that for myself. I had to study the things. When you're 7 and listening, it's there, but not the same as me studying and seeing it for myself, not me being a wife and a mom and experiencing things and reading. When you learn a question, the Bible says, when they asked Jesus, why are you talking parables? Why are you like, bro, could you just give it to me straight? Right. Like, what are you saying?
Straight, no chaser, baby.
That's all I'm asking. Like, I just really I like what you were saying over there on that mountain. It was real dope. Yeah. Can you get to the point? Like, I have no idea why you were talking about them figs. Yeah. You know what I mean? And what he said was so real. Like, when you're ready to understand, like, yo, the day it clicks for you, it's going to click for you. Like, you'll understand it, and it's so clear. But when those moments start to happen as an adult, like now I read the same stories, and I get it so differently.
Yeah.
Right? And I did, when I was younger, my mom gifted me with the Bible, so I chose to go to church by myself. Right? My mother made a choice that she didn't want to be present for her reasons, but I felt like God wanted something from me. Right? And I kind of liked the kids that I was around. And there was a quiet girl named Avi. She was real quiet, but she had fun at church. And so I like sitting next to her in Sunday school. So I don't go to church because then I had a friend to be with. And shout out to the PG gang, because like we had them
Pleasant
2 pews full back then.
PG gang.
He was lit back then.
Pleasant Grove Girls and Boys Night Out, like nights at the Christian Center once a month. Like we used to have it. Like church was it, and building friends and relationships and family, like that was everything. And so, but I chose that for myself when everybody else's parents were bringing them. And I give credit to God, because that wasn't like, what kid chooses that? I chose to be baptized I went up at age 12, and then my birthday happened, and so I was 13 when I was baptized. But I had full understanding of what the decision was that I was making, right? Nobody told me to do it. I had to go home and tell my mom, like, I'm getting baptized next week.
What was that reaction like?
Oh. Okay. This is what you want to do? Or somebody told you to do that? Because she wasn't in church with me. Somebody told you have to? It's like your time? Or... No, I've been thinking about it. Okay, well, tell me what those thoughts were. And we talked. Like, I learned to articulate my ideas there. Like, I don't know. Well, let's talk about why you don't know. Figure that out. Because I don't know ain't it. And if you don't know, well, that means that's a feeling. And those ain't going to lead you too far. So let's sit and process that. And so I know it's not a mistake that I am exactly where I am, that I have the connection I have to my Creator. I say I honor God by saying Mother, Father, God when I pray, when we talk, because my mother's love, if I had to identify what I see God's face to look like and how God loves me, it would be that. No shade to my father. It's just that that's a greater love, like to give of yourself to the place where you would die for me. I saw that in my mother. And then I can go into when I read the Bible. Like people, I said that at church one time, and I remember the people, I ain't gonna say no names, but some elders was like, that's disrespectful. The Lord is a man. And I was like, that's wild. Like I remember being like 13, like, I can't say that. Like I know the word. I mean, yeah, you had to figure something out. But then to later, I'm like, God has no gender. Like, what are we talking about? Jesus said, what did Jesus say? Let's look right here. Father. I'm like, because that's what makes sense to y'all. Like, don't take away, don't read. I'm like, I'm reading the words. Like, what are you doing, bro? You reading in between and making up stories. I'm reading. Start at Genesis. Let's go to and I remember sitting with a deacon, like, can you show me where, back to what my mother said, show me where it says that. And then when I read it, and then Genesis 1, it says this, and then when I get to Genesis 2, that means the book, the chapter right after it, it says let us make them in our image. All right, so it's a bunch of people up there, us and them. And then who was made? Adam and Eve. So what we going with? Like, early, I had these questions. Make it make sense to me.
Yeah.
And so I teach and carry that around the same way, right? So I say it's not a mistake. Why do I think the way I think? I just have to go chase after whatever information somebody needs. And Avi said one time, she was like, you should have been a teacher. I'm like, I am in some ways. She was like, you be saying stuff in different ways. Like, I saw it when you said it. I'm like, meanwhile, I'm like, y'all didn't see this? Like, when I read it, I had a whole movie planned.
Where's they?
Y'all did, that's not what y'all saw?
Not at all.
No, okay, right. Like, like, you know what I mean? So, the world needs people like me.
Absolutely.
And I would be doing the world a disservice if I didn't share me. So I can't sit in the house. I have to use my energy. Like Kelly says, dying empty. I don't have time. One of my fears, my fear is not the abrupt death, right? Some people is like, oh, it's the awkward lingering of death. It's the I'm disabled laying in a hospital bed somewhere with nothing but time to think.
You don't want to go out like that.
I don't want to do that. and because nobody picks that, like, yo, sign me up for the slow death plan, God. Like, I might make it, I might not. Nobody does that, right? But if that's my fortune, I want to imagine sitting in this room and they got a sign-up list, like, when you going to visit Joe? Because I got that many people who, if I'm not in the streets with them, I didn't show up that Saturday or that Tuesday to that, they coming to see me because it's weird not to see Joe. And she's still alive? So I'm never going to be alone. And people know I like my by myself time. So when I say visitation hours are over, it's because I said so, right?
So, let me ask you something, Joe, because you have a lot going on, right? And I say that in a good way, right? I mean, you're very active here in the community. You know, you give of your time, your talent, your resources to everyone. You know, what do you do for, like, 'cause you talk about having that time to yourself, that alone time. So what does, like, that replenishing of Joe look like?
Quiet. So I'm an ambivert. So I express myself as an extrovert, but I recharge as an introvert.
That's me too.
So, like, I recognize in maturity, I needed 1 day a week that there's no connection to another human unless you live in my house. And even then, you don't have to keep talking today. Like, go in your space, right? So during that recharge, it's quiet. One of the reasons it's quiet for me, so I worship, I read, I watch TV. I choose to do a mindless activity. Like, it's the one time in the week I'm guaranteed to not have to process anything except for a joke to laugh at, right? Or watch something so stupid, or watch an indie film that nobody else would have clicked on Netflix. Because I just need to give myself, right? I'm no good to other people. I can't pour out if I'm not full of myself.
Yeah.
The other part of that, it began because I needed to hear God's voice. And when you're go all the time and always answering your phone because there's always somebody who needs something, we miss it.
Yeah.
We don't hear as clear. I drive and I typically don't have music on because I
love those moments. Oh my God.
I got to hear, right?
Yeah.
It's just so I just can't even figure out what was wrong with young me. Like, why was you driving with music
all the time?
Loud.
Loud.
All the way up to
like, now I have
the highest decibel.
Yeah, like, that's weird. Like, now I'm driving, I'm like, oh, that's my sign. I play a song, and I'm like, okay, well.
Turn it off.
It was doing a lot for me. Life is good.
Yeah.
Even when it's hard and rough. I also make a point I am very intentional about family now. You can't change my schedule if my babies are involved. And the Bible talks about charity starts at home, right? I can't keep pouring out to everybody and then turn around and my nephews don't have me. That when that moment comes, they can't, and everybody's talking about Auntie JoJo in the world. What? And they like, she drill with who? Like, what's drill? Like, that's weird to me. And so I make a point to have time in my day, in each day that they ask for it, but guaranteed at least 1 day out the week, I make myself available to be present for my nephews. Shout out to Hutch Tech and their star basketball team. Come on, it's like,
even though Bennett High School just won the state championship this past weekend, let's go. Shout out to Bennett High School. Shout out to the Bennett Tigers.
You got one.
Yeah, I have none. How about that?
So I shout out for y'all. But like, my nephew is playing basketball now. He loves it. I've watched him pour himself so much of his time into going and doing workout. The boys' calves are like. He had this uniform at this first game, and me and my sister was sitting there like, Well, I guess them LA Fitness workouts is working. Where do you get this buff? I had to be intentional about making sure that during this pivotal time, while you're shining and flexing for the world, I need to make sure you know me and I know who you are. So I'm gonna be present, right? Like you don't get to have a game and you don't hear my big mouth in the crowd. Like you got to be so extra. That's how he started the first year. You so extra. Now the season was getting ready. He like, yeah, so bet. So here we go. So when I make a 3, I need you to say, yeah. And when I make a, like now we playing it. You right? First game, he like, make sure you got your noisemakers, which you like, oh, now you want me to be all of me? Got it.
That's the one thing I love. I'm sorry, Avi, but that's one of the things I love about you because you will just unapologetically make sure that you are out here supporting your people.
Absolutely.
I remember earlier this year when I gave the keynote at the UB Alana graduation, and right after they introduced it, because I was actually just looking at it not too long ago, just kind of looking back at it.
Yeah.
And right after they introduced me,
that's mine. Y'all got my boy on the stage. There's no way.
I loved it. And honestly, right after that, I had all of the jitters were just gone. You know what I mean? I was just like, all right, I'm good now.
Boy, show out, show off. They like, that show you with him? And duh. There we are.
I have a question, JoAnna. Is it because you want to give so much to the community and to kids around you that you don't want your own, or is it other reasons why you don't want any biological children?
What's the reason you in my business?
We going there? Oh,
boy, wow.
Ooh, I didn't know we was going there. So, JoAnna.
Right. That's the question. Boss, they said. How you pause? I don't have, so I will say this, is that there was a season in life where I thought I wanted that. Well, how much am I willing to share with the public?
That is all.
Less than that. Once you give people, there's nothing my mama told me, once you give people your business,
they got it.
They have what they want to do with it. And I don't like people thinking they know me. She ain't right. So I did want some at one point. I thought I was gonna have 5 kids because there's 5 of us. Right. I'm grown now. I know. Like, what job was I about to have?
I got one, and I'm just like, I'm good.
Done.
I was serious about this. Like, I had a book. I had the names written down. I had it on my wall. Like, this was before vision boards was taught to me. Like, it was written on my wall. These are my kids' middle names and first names. And then one day I had a conversation, and my father was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "These my kids' names." Like, what's wrong with you? And he was like, so it's the fact that you think a man you plan on making these kids with a man, right? I'm like, yeah. Where he get to say so in this? I was like, that's his business, his last name, I guess. But these the names. So I had that as a vision because I wanted to give to some children, but my sisters and I wish we had. So to be 5 of us, but not be all in the same house at the same time consistently, I wanted that. And then I knew I wanted to create, but then I realized life is real. And there's something, again, I've researched and I study, and everybody fantasizes things, and we leave off the reality, right? Get married, have kids, and blossom, and even if you can't get a man, you have a kid and you do. First of all, I watch single moms. Nobody made that look fun. Yeah. Shout out to the single moms. Shout out to the single moms and single dads who just, y'all kill it. And I mean, and I'm not saying just the single, like you in the house by yourself and then they go to the other house. I'm talking about the people where you don't have somebody to drop them off to. Right. For real, right? And that's life. And they don't tell you, like, you might have a baby with somebody you really love and created this life with love, and their life may be gone before your child is an adult.
Right.
So you didn't even choose to be a single parent, but you are, right? Like that's the realness of life that people aren't teaching these kids, right? You want a drug dealer boyfriend and he in the streets and you excited because he got, you the bottom one and you the top chick and he wants you and he want me to have his kid, but he's still having sex with all the other chicks in the streets. And then he's gone, and now you're a single.
Don't get me started on that. Like, don't get me started on that.
Yo, like there's so many. Back to the fantasy gets real.
Yeah, yeah.
And so me seeing nonstop. I'm not a pessimistic person, but I'm an Pisces born on the cusp of Aquarius, so I'm super dreamy, and then I'm so analytical about things. Like legit, I get on my damn nerves, my own self. But it's in enjoying how beautiful creation of a life is, and the rearing of being in charge to guardian another person's soul.
That part. Mm-hmm.
Like that's
real
deep.
Yeah,
like that's a lot of responsibility you signed up for.
You signed up,
and I'm embracing every minute.
That's a fact. But it was like, ooh, that's scary. But then the next dose of reality was like, a woman's body goes through so much. Mm-hmm. We risk death every time we bring a life into this world, and they don't teach that at school. They're not talking about that. Then they don't tell you the statistics on how often Black women don't get taken care of properly in the hospital when you give birth to a child.
Honestly, let me say this. That's one of the reasons that, even after having my son, I'm just like, listen, this might be a one and done.
Yeah.
Because I seen everything that my wife had to go through. All of the physical, and it was agony for her. Yeah. For us, but really for her.
Right.
And I'm like, do I want to put her through that again?
Yeah.
Do I want her to go through? I understand that the whole idea of wanting your kid to have a sibling and all of that.
Yeah.
But at the expense of what?
That part.
Yeah.
That she might not make it the next one. And that was what really scared me and I met somebody, talked to this man, and he just blessed me. I like hearing people's stories. And he talked about why he left his wife. He was like, she needed help that I couldn't give to her. And he said but he understood her trauma. She was the youngest of 6 children. And unfortunately, she was the child born after her mother died. Like her mom died in childbirth, labor. Her siblings hated her.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, my gosh.
We had mommy and we was all good until you came along. So we got you instead of her. Right? That's not something people typically talk about. And I understand people like, oh, that's pessimistic, you don't think bad, but you don't know if it's going to be your story or not. And so for me, I didn't want to risk that. I didn't want to risk that. I have my own number of health issues. I ain't looking too good for me. Right? And so I got a lot to give to this world. And I realized I was blessed. I didn't want a man with kids. And when I tell you the Lord didn't care nothing about what JoAnna was, Lord have mercy. Shout out to my sweeties. Samaria and Shemaiah Johnson are my world until I have no world anymore.
Yeah.
Right? They are my bonus babies, my sweeties. Loving them and becoming their mom. If you see me, I got a baby mama, and it's not Sally. Shout out to Sharita. I honor the woman who gave them life. I would get each year of my sweetie's birthdays, I gave my baby mama a card. Thank you for being the bearer of my children. Right? We love and raise them in a capacity that together we some dope parents. Right? We pour into them, and so now it's like. I've seen roar when I was a wife, my kids was with me, right? To the point where there's people who don't even know I never gave birth to these kids.
Right, yeah.
They mine.
Right.
And they going everywhere with me like my mama had me. Get busy. Get a coloring book. Pay attention. Help. And so I love that way. So I have children that I pour my love into. I have my godchildren are mine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, he is.
I love my god babies. I have 3. I'm sad because the babies that don't live in the same city with me don't get all that I have for them. Right? So like school is like
I know.
he's not only is he just is such a sweetness in this world by himself, like he don't even realize how dope this life is finna be, because we about to, and no shade to all of the social media aunties and uncles.
Nah. We love y'all too. We love all of the Facebook aunties and uncles.
They appreciate y'all, so we say thank you. But when I'm telling you,
the love is real, y'all.
That Auntie JoJo love, though, like my baby is right with me. And when I said goon squad at the start of this joint, like half goon, half goddess. Yeah. Like I love strong. I'm a warrior. Mm-hmm. So whether that's fighting to make something happen or fighting you to know what's up, it's all up.
Yeah,
it's up. So that's that. But I know if I had my own children, I risk not being in this world for others, and I also know that I have more time that I can give without children feeling like they're slighted from how they have to share me.
That makes sense.
It's intentional.
Yeah. So what do you have going on right now, JoAnna? What are you involved in with the community and everything?
Do we have enough time?
Not my calendar. So always things with the Community Action Organization of Western New York. In my role as Vice President of Youth Services, I also manage our community engagement. So our community, we run 4 community centers that are also open for the community to bring programming in. I really don't like the idea of having to create things that there are people who have a vision already. And so one of the things I love to do is if you got a great idea for something you want to do with kids or older people in our community, I got a spot for you.
You heard that? Okay.
Don't say it ain't no space. You gotta go find it, come get it. Some things cost money, some things don't cost money. It's how you want to partner. How can we better benefit our community? Mm-hmm. So that's all. Every month there's something going on. The Crusaders Marching Unit. I'm also a member emeritus of the Drill Teams United committee. That board is so dope and full of. Now it is presently full of a bunch of people who are now adults. Mm-hmm. Who I had the pleasure of watching be children first.
Wow.
It's crazy.
You're not even that old, which is a crazy thing.
Right.
It's so wild. Wow. And so watching them run it, and emeritus means I'm present as needed, right? I give guidance. I tell you where we were. Right. I'm present for the resources and to make the final call when somebody's not answering the phone for you. The other thing is that I am, as a member of Delta Sigma Theta
Big DSC, come on.
Incorporated. In the Buffalo Alumni chapter, I am a part of our executive board leadership team. I am also proudly the chairwoman for our Dr. Maddie L. Rhodes College, HBCU College Preparatory and Tour.
Yes.
So shout out to us because that's on its way back. Yes. COVID is just...
Yeah, I got to talk to you about that too.
Very good, and I'm ready. Yeah. COVID is a little had things shaky, but we're getting our footing so that we can be back on track. Again, what gave to me, I'm giving to it now in our community. A couple other youth and health and fitness initiatives through my sorority is what's coming up and going to be marketed. Service through MPHC, which is the collaborative group of all of the D9 in the city of Buffalo.
Come on. Shout out to Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. Greatest fraternity in the world.
I know it's a couple other who might disagree, but okay. We're in your house, so it is.
It's in my house, right.
Shout out to Teddy down the hall for Happy Founders Day. So that's that. What else am I missing? I did them. I got Hutch Tech's basketball schedule is on my schedule heavy now. 2 days a week, I'll be at the Hutch Tech games. You can find me in the crowd yelling and I'll be the loudest. And just any community service that comes up, right? Somebody hits me up, you got something, work smarter, not harder. So I ain't had to plan it. I can dang sure be there and help out, right? And no good, I really mean that. I am a humble servant. So if you needed somebody to set the chairs up, I got you. I might even tell you logistically it's a better fit if they go this way instead of that way.
That brain, man, seriously.
So that's the things I have going on. A couple other things might be in the works just to get our community out and having a good time together.
That's dope.
Perfect.
So, Joe, we're about to wrap up soon, but oftentimes I'm having conversations with folks, people who are looking to be more active in the community. They don't know where to start sometimes. Give some people some advice, right? If people wanted to be more active, not knowing where to start, how to get started, coming from someone who is so community activated, right? Give them advice on how they can get started.
Yeah.
See, it's hard for me because it's so much out here, and so I really am confused.
When
you can't figure it out.
Right.
That's weird to me. Mm-hmm. Not that person's weird, the concept of what's standing in their way. So I would say, go get it. Go get it. Get on social media, join, follow more people that aren't like you. Mm-hmm. Look for groups. There are groups. Shout out to the Western New York, Western New York Community Bulletin. Like, that group is
Oh, wow.
Dynamic, right? And so to share in that group, I find out more activities and things that I didn't even know were happening, right? For me to show up or to learn some more things about more people at. So find different groups on social media so that you can follow them and go. Pay attention to people who are doing things in our community and follow first, right? To be a good leader, you got to know how to follow.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't have a mission, and I wasn't given a vision to help those who are in need, who suffer from human trafficking, but I have a dope friend who does.
Right.
And so my job is to support what she does and to invite people that might be an interest of yours. Support where it's at, and then your moment might come. So that's that. And I will say, if you really want to get close to youth and you want to help feed those who are in need in our community and find all of those little things that people get lost in the gap, shout out to a newer organization, Candles in the Sun. Founder with Dakari Singletary.
Big things out here.
I call that's Chief.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking that over his life, right? To be young. And shout out to the heroes that are with him. I'm an honorary hero. Give me my shirt, Dakari. But no, real big chief energy, right? Dakari is a young man who is born and raised here.
Might have to get him on the pod.
And come on.
That's actually what she
And
said.
I believe in supporting those. The heroes are the people who grew up in this community who love Buffalo.
Yeah.
And they get in the street and be about it. If y'all follow him on social media, he comes to people's necks. Like, y'all talking about it, get up and come be about it. Be with me. And he opens it for that.
Yeah.
So don't sit at home and say you think people should do or don't do. What are you doing?
Right.
Go follow those that support those of us who are out here, because we need you.
Yeah.
We need you.
That's facts. Jo, this has been an amazing conversation. I know
Thanks for coming, even though it had to be my birthday for you to come.
You're welcome. Shout out to the birthday turn up.
I just wanted you guys to know that we always wanted JoAnna to be on the podcast because she is just dynamic in our community. But also, if you listen to our other podcasts, Tina and Kelly both reference her.
Yeah.
Because she impacted even those, like she impacts so many people's stories starting in with JoAnna Rozier-Johnson. So we had to have her come on here because she's one of those people that you may not see, but she's definitely working in the back end of so many children's lives.
Absolutely.
So we had to
talk about somebody who is community activated.
Yeah.
There's no greater example than JoAnna. So people wanted to connect with you online. Things with they. So like, see, I'm behind the scenes. I want to connect with y'all.
I can't get
with
to
the work that you're doing. Like, if they wanted to
messages.
support the things, like, how can people connect with you?
Come on, give it up.
People watching y'all podcast. He gonna put my stuff up there. I can tell. I feel it from the other. Everything, it has my name on it. So the thing where I'm promoting things, I promote most things on Facebook.
Okay.
So Facebook, JoAnna Rozier-Johnson. If you type in either or, and it's ROZ like zebra, not the S, you'll see my pretty black face.
And pretty it is.
Yes.
So follow me that way, and I share things. Anything community focused is always shared publicly so that other people can share. And then I share anything. If I see it in one page, I'll share it in all of the community, like Western New York Community Bulletin is the biggest one. Buffalo Public Schools website, not website, social media page. I share within there as well. Just any way to connect people to the resources that are out here. Community Action Organization as well. But all of them.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Jo. We love you. We appreciate you. We will continue to elevate you and uplift you, support you in everything that you have going on, because you are a pillar in this community.
You are the one, JoAnna.
Yeah. And I can say this confidently. I know your mother's looking down on you, just so proud. Just so proud. So
she better be up there having a party.
I'm sure she is.
She could have been down here.
I'm sure she is. But no, we thank you. We love you. And just appreciate you for being on the pod. But before we wrap up, Avi, it's your birthday, girl.
Oh, what we doing?
It's your birthday, man.
We about to turn up.
No, listen. I just wanted to tell you, Avi, that it's really been an honor to do this with you. I tell you that often, because I when I was looking for, someone to do this with, I needed someone that I knew I can vibe with, someone that I knew it would be a good, just a good connection with. And you have been that and more, right? And you have become, and I told you this, and I'm gonna say this publicly to people. We consider ourselves the best friendship, right? And I'm the best friend-in-law.
What did you just do?
No, I'm sorry. Well, the best friendship. Let me make this clear. The best friendship is Avi,
everybody can get it.
JoAnna, my wife Sally, and Erica.
Yeah.
I'm the best friend-in-law.
Okay, very good.
I'm the best friend-in-law.
Okay.
All right.
She
was like,
wait a minute.
See, now people are really about to see how bad the best friendship is.
You trying to document something.
However,
we're the best friendship.
You have, for me, have become one of my best friends over the last several years, particularly over the last couple of years. You have been holding me down in ways that I cannot thank you enough. So I know we always talk about, the thing that a lot of people say nowadays, like we want to give people their flowers and things like that. So, I want to give you your flowers. But before we do that, yo, boss man, give me my theme music.
Yikes.
Oh, he has a theme music?
I don't know, but you don't like flowers?
Or chocolate? I don't. He knows that.
Thank you for being a friend.
So, Avi, I love you. I appreciate you. And we want to give you your flowers right now.
You guys have all done your
We want to give you your flowers.
Thank you. You know when you just remix it.
No, we appreciate you. Myself and Chuck and Charles and everybody. Yeah, they real. They are real flowers. They're very real.
I have to take care of them because I can't.
But no, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you, how much I value you. You are truly amazing. And as I told you earlier, I'm looking to make history with you. I know we're going to do this thing together. So I love you so much. Happy birthday. Just want to give you your flowers. So until next time, guys, make sure you follow us on all of the major streaming platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and we are on Audible as well. Follow us on our social media. Come on, I got this. Follow us on our social media platforms on Instagram at We Are The Ones Podcast. Also, look for us on Facebook or at We Are The Ones Podcast. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at We Are The Ones Podcast as well. So until next time, Aviance, happy birthday.
Wow. Thank you.
Happy big birthday energy.
Make sure y'all keep winning on purpose because you're the one we have been waiting for. There you go. Thanks for checking out another episode of We Are The Ones Podcast.
Make sure you subscribe and listen to our podcast on any of your favorite streaming platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and even on Audible.
And then make sure you follow us on all of our social media platforms on Facebook and Instagram at We Are The Ones Podcast. And make sure you subscribe, like, comment, and share. Because remember, you are not just the one. We are the ones.